Disclaimer: this video explores mature emotional themes involving complex family dynamics. While it contains no explicit material, viewer discretion is advised. I didn't expect the silence to feel louder than the yelling. We'd just finished dinner, steak, potatoes, the works. My husband Mark was already nursing his second glass of wine, half watching the game from the couch, half scrolling through his phone. Nothing unusual about that. He wasn't the kind of man to start a fire, but he also never noticed the smoke. And then there was Tyler. 24, smart, reserved, with this calm, unreadable stare that could unnerve you if you looked too long. My stepson had moved back in with us about 4 months ago. Something about needing to reset after grad school. He'd left with ambition. He returned with quiet. I thought I understood why. What I didn't understand was what he did that night, or why he waited until his father was in the room to do it. Let me back up. When I married Mark 8 years ago, Tyler was already grown. We never did the whole step-parent bonding dance. He didn't need a second mother, and I didn't need to play one. Still, we coexisted, pleasant enough holiday visits, polite check-ins, occasional shared jokes over bad movies. I even admired his independence. He kept to himself, never asked for much. That changed when he moved back in. At first, it was the little things. Doors closing softly but too often. Long showers late at night. He never brought anyone over, but something about him buzzed, like he was waiting for something or bracing for it. I didn't ask. I figured he'd open up if he wanted to, or maybe I didn't ask because I wasn't sure I wanted to know. Then came that Tuesday night. I was clearing plates when Tyler walked in from the hallway, barefoot, hoodie half-zipped, hands in his pockets. He didn't say a word, just stood there, watching his dad from across the room. Mark didn't notice. Or pretended not to. "Everything okay?" I asked, drying my hands on a towel. Tyler turned his head, looked straight at me. His mouth tightened, like he was working through something or holding something in. Then he said it. One sentence. Just 7 words. But it stopped me cold. His father didn't flinch. Didn't even look up from his phone. I looked from one to the other. "Tyler, what did you just say?" He repeated it. Still nothing from Mark. Not a twitch, not a word. That's when I knew he already knew. Whatever Tyler had just thrown into the air wasn't new to him. But it was definitely new to me. I remember the smell of the steak still hanging in the air. The soft clink of silverware being stacked. The flicker of the game on the TV casting strange shadows across Tyler's face. And I remember thinking, this changes everything. Whatever you think this story is about, it's not. Not exactly. Because what my stepson did wasn't violent. It wasn't criminal. But it was personal. And it had been building for longer than I realized. That moment, in our living room, with Mark on the couch and Tyler standing 10 feet away, that was just the match. The fire had already been lit. And me? I was about to find out how many lies you can live with before they burn straight through you. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I lay there beside Mark, the hum of the ceiling fan mixing with the weight of everything Tyler had said. The words played on a loop in my head, 7 simple words that didn't match the expression on his face or the hollowness in his voice. They weren't said in anger. That's what made it worse. It was like he was finally letting something fall after holding it too long. And Mark's silence, that told me more than Tyler's words ever could. The next morning, we acted like we always did. Mark sipped his coffee like nothing had happened, reading his emails, offering me half smiles between glances at his phone. Tyler had already left, gone before sunrise, probably. He did that sometimes. Said he liked quiet mornings. I used to think that was code for needing space. Now I wasn't so sure. I watched Mark pour cereal into a bowl like it was any other Thursday. "Why didn't you say anything?" I asked. He didn't look up. "About what?" "You know what." He sighed, slow and practiced. "He's just trying to get a reaction." "No," I said. "You're pretending it's nothing, so I won't dig." He looked at me then, and for a second I saw something. Not guilt. Not quite. Just exhaustion. The kind of tired that comes from keeping something buried for too long. You don't know him like I do, Mark said. And that was true. I didn't. Not really. Tyler and I had always kept a safe distance. He was polite, careful, and always seemed like he was holding back, like a man watching his own life from a window. I used to admire that self-control. Now I wondered what it cost him. I went about the day with a knot in my stomach. Tried working, cleaning, running errands, but everything felt out of place. And when Tyler came home that night, there was no drama. No round two. He just nodded at me, grabbed something from the fridge, and disappeared into his room like usual. But something had shifted. It wasn't what he said. It was the why, and the fact that he chose to say it while his father was right there, staring at his screen, pretending not to hear. Later, I stood outside Tyler's door, debating whether to knock. My hand hovered. I wanted to ask what he meant. I wanted to tell him he didn't have to carry whatever he was carrying alone. But I didn't knock. Maybe because I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. Or maybe because, deep down, I already knew it. That night, I opened the box. Mark keeps an old cedar chest at the back of our closet. Says it's full of old paperwork and pointless stuff from the past. I'd never had a reason to open it before. But I did now. Inside were photos, receipts, a few letters, and beneath a folder of tax documents, a sealed envelope addressed to Tyler in handwriting I didn't recognize. I didn't open it. I just held it for a long time, feeling how light it was. Tyler's name. No return address. No date. But it was old. Yellowed at the edges. Something told me this letter was part of the silence between them. And suddenly, the last 8 years didn't feel as steady as I thought. Marriage, trust, family, all the things I thought I understood, they were suddenly up for review. I placed the letter back in the box, careful to leave everything as I found it. Then I sat on the bed, wondering who else had been living in this house with me all these years. And what else they hadn't said. The envelope never left my mind. I didn't open it, but I thought about it constantly, where it came from, why it had never been given to Tyler, and what it said about the father and son I thought I knew. By Friday, something in the house had changed. It wasn't loud, not obvious. But it was there, thick in the air, like someone had shifted a picture frame slightly off-center, and now nothing else looked right. Tyler was quieter than usual, but it wasn't a moody silence. It felt intentional, like he was waiting, watching. I decided to ask Mark again, this time without hinting. I waited until we were alone, both of us folding laundry in the bedroom like any other couple with chores to do. I found the envelope, I said. His hands didn't stop moving, but I saw the tension in his jaw. What envelope? You know which one. In the chest. With Tyler's name on it. He said nothing for a beat too long. Then, it's old. It doesn't matter. Then why didn't you give it to him? He looked up at me, his voice even. Because it wouldn't help. That's when I realized he wasn't protecting Tyler. He was protecting himself. Later that evening, Mark had to step out for a client call. As soon as the door shut behind him, I found myself at Tyler's door again, this time with the envelope in my hand. I knocked. No answer. I opened the door anyway. Tyler was sitting on the edge of his bed, earbuds in, laptop open, a half-eaten sandwich beside him. When he saw me holding the envelope, he didn't look surprised. Where'd you get that? He asked, removing one earbud. From the chest. He nodded slowly. So he still has it. I didn't read it. He motioned for me to sit, and for the first time since he moved back in, I felt like I wasn't just an observer in this strange quiet war between them. I was now part of it. He told me she left, Tyler said, not looking at me. Said she was unstable. That she chose to disappear. That she didn't even say goodbye. Your mom. He nodded. He said she left us. Said I'd understand one day. Said she wasn't worth remembering. I felt my throat tighten. And you believed him? I didn't have a choice. He took the envelope, turned it over once, twice. Didn't open it. Funny thing is, he said, I stopped caring about what was inside a long time ago. But I never stopped wondering why he hid it. That hit hard. This wasn't about the letter. It was about a father who made a decision and a son who grew up with someone else's version of the truth. I sat beside him. What do you want to do? He looked up at me then, really looked, for the first time. I don't know. But if he thinks this all stays buried, he's wrong. Just then, we heard the front door open. Mark was home. Tyler stood up, envelope in hand. I'm done waiting, he said. He's going to answer me. This time to my face. And with that, he walked out of the room, calm, steady, certain. I followed, my heart pounding. This wasn't just about a missing letter anymore. It was about everything that had been left unsaid for years, finally demanding to be heard. Tyler didn't knock. He walked straight into the living room, letter in hand, like he'd been rehearsing this moment for years. Mark looked up from the couch, eyes locking on the envelope instantly. His expression didn't change, no panic, no guilt. Just that familiar, infuriating calm. I want the truth, Tyler said. All of it. No more stories. No more edits. Mark didn't move. There's nothing in that letter that'll help you. Tyler's voice was sharp. Let me decide that. I stood in the doorway, unsure whether to speak, to leave, to intervene. The air between them was thick, fragile. One wrong word, and it would all shatter. Mark set his glass down. I was protecting you. From what? Tyler stepped closer. From a mother who wanted to talk to me? From the truth? Or from the chance I'd love her more than I ever trusted you? Silence. That did it. Mark sat back like he'd just taken a punch. You don't know what she was like at the end. No, Tyler snapped. I don't. Because you made sure I never got the chance. I could feel my own pulse pounding. Watching them felt like standing too close to a fire. Neither one was backing down. But this wasn't just about the letter. It was about everything they'd buried between them. The lies, the silence, the wasted years. She tried to reach out? Tyler asked, his voice quieter now, almost hoarse. Did she? Mark hesitated. Then, she sent that letter a year after she left. She was in treatment. She was getting better. So, why didn't you give it to me? Mark looked straight at him. Because I didn't believe it would last. Because I couldn't stand the thought of you getting your hopes up just to have them crushed. Again. You didn't trust her, Tyler said. So you made sure I couldn't either. Mark rubbed his face with both hands, for once looking his age. I made a call. Maybe it was wrong. But I didn't know what else to do. Tyler stepped forward, and his voice dropped to a level that made my skin crawl. She died 3 years ago, didn't she? Mark didn't answer. He didn't have to. Tyler's hand tightened around the envelope. All this time, he said quietly, you let me believe she chose to stay gone. You never gave me a chance to talk to her. Not even once. Mark was breathing hard now, his composure cracking. I thought I was doing the right thing, he said. I thought keeping you angry at her was better than letting you get hurt again. That wasn't your choice. Those words hung in the room like smoke. Then Tyler held out the envelope, trembling slightly. You're going to sit here, he said, and read this with me. You're not going to look away. You're not going to hide behind your justifications. You're going to face this, because I did, for 20 years, without knowing the truth. Mark looked up at him, something broken in his eyes. He didn't say yes. He just reached for the envelope, slowly, like it weighed 100 pounds. I backed away, letting them have the space. Tyler didn't sit. He stood over his father, watching him open the seal with shaking fingers. I didn't hear the words inside that letter. But I saw the look on Mark's face as he read them, grief, guilt, maybe something like regret. Real, unfiltered emotion. For once, the truth didn't hide. And Tyler? He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He just stood there, still as stone, as years of silence finally gave way to the reality neither of them could outrun. Mark finished reading the letter without saying a word. His hands were shaking by the time he folded it and placed it on the coffee table like it might explode. Tyler didn't move. Say something, he said. Mark looked up at him, eyes red-rimmed but unreadable. I didn't know she wrote that. What? I never opened it. I told myself I would if you ever asked about her, but you never did. So I never did. Tyler's mouth tightened. So you kept it, hid it, and never even read it? Mark nodded slowly. I didn't want to know. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. Because just as Tyler turned to leave, the real twist came, quiet, cold, and impossible to ignore. I wasn't the only one hiding something, Mark said. Tyler stopped in his tracks. What does that mean? Mark looked at me, and that's when I felt it, that sick drop in the pit of your stomach when you realize you've been standing on a trapdoor and someone's reaching for the lever. Tell him, Mark said. I froze. What are you talking about? You knew more than you said. You read the emails. Tyler turned slowly toward me. What emails? I swallowed hard. I didn't want this. I never meant for it to become mine to carry. But the truth has a way of rotting through the floorboards. Your mom, she tried to contact you again a year before she died, I said. She found me on social media. She messaged me. I didn't tell Mark. Tyler's face went blank. She asked me to pass something along, I continued. She wanted to meet. I didn't answer her. I never replied. He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. Why? I couldn't look at him, because I thought Mark was right. I thought it would just stir things up. You were finally doing well. You had just gotten into grad school. I told myself I was protecting you. Tyler laughed, but there was no humor in it, just disbelief. So both of you decided what I could handle. You both made sure I never got to decide anything for myself. Mark stood now too. I didn't know she messaged her. She was clean, I said quietly. She sounded clear-headed. She wasn't the person you warned me about, Mark. I should have told you both. Tyler shook his head. You had a choice. You both did. And you chose for me. You were still hurting, I said. I didn't want to give you hope she couldn't deliver on. She wasn't the one who let me down, he snapped. You were. Silence. That was the twist no one saw coming. Not just a lie from the past, but one still alive in the present. And now, trust wasn't just broken between a father and son. I was in it too. I had become part of the damage I was trying to protect him from. Tyler picked up the letter and folded it back into its envelope. I'm done talking tonight, he said. He walked past us, out the front door, and into the night. And this time, none of us knew if he was coming back. Tyler didn't come home that night. We didn't speak, Mark and I. Just sat in separate rooms, the silence between us heavier than anything we'd ever argued about. I barely slept. Every time I heard a car pass outside, I jolted up hoping it was him. It never was. By morning, I called his phone, straight to voicemail. Then around noon, a text came not from Tyler, but from his friend Gabe. He was at Gabe's apartment. Safe. Not ready to talk. I read the message out loud. Mark let out a long breath but said nothing. He just nodded like this was the best outcome we could hope for. But it wasn't enough. Not for me. I drove to Gabe's place that afternoon. I didn't call ahead. I just went. When Tyler opened the door, he looked like he hadn't slept either. His eyes were raw, and his jaw was tight, but he didn't slam the door. He let me in. That was something. I know you don't owe me anything, I said. But I needed to look you in the eye and tell you I'm sorry. He sat on the edge of the couch, arms crossed. I stayed standing. I was wrong to keep your mom's message from you. I told myself it was out of love, but really, it was fear. I didn't want to be the reason you got hurt again. And in trying to avoid that, I became part of the hurt. Tyler didn't say anything. I kept going. You were robbed of something no one had the right to take, your voice. You should have been allowed to make that choice, even if it ended in pain. Finally, he looked at me. You said you didn't answer her. But did you read what she sent? I nodded. I did. Can I see it? I hesitated for a second, then opened my phone and pulled up the message. I handed it to him. He read it silently. His shoulders stiffened, then slowly dropped. His hands trembled, just barely. "She still called me her son," he said softly. "After everything, she still wanted to see me." "I know," I said. "I'm so sorry, Tyler." He sat in silence for a long time. Then he handed me back the phone. "I thought I was angry at her for leaving," he said. "But I was angry at being left out. Like everyone else got to hold the pieces of my life, and I was just supposed to go along with it." "You don't have to do that anymore," I said. "Not with me. Not with him. You're not a kid. You're a man who deserves the full truth, no matter how messy it is." Tyler nodded slowly. "I don't know if I can forgive either of you right now." "I'm not asking you to," I said. "I just want you to know you don't have to carry this alone." He looked out the window, quiet. "Then, I want to go to her grave." "I'll drive," I said. We didn't tell Mark right away. We didn't need to. This moment wasn't about him. The cemetery was quiet, tucked behind an old church at the edge of town. Tyler stood in front of the headstone for a long time, unreadable. Then, finally, he spoke. "I wish I'd known you were trying. I wish I'd known you didn't give up." I stepped back, giving him space. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the letter. The one she'd written. The one his father never read. He knelt and placed it gently at the base of the headstone. Then he stood, wiped his face, and turned toward me. "We can go now," he said. That was it. Not forgiveness. Not closure. But a beginning. 3 weeks passed before Tyler spoke to Mark again. Not in anger, not in a dramatic showdown, just a quiet, intentional conversation at the kitchen table over coffee. I watched from the other room, heart pounding, as two men who had lived under the same roof for months finally looked each other in the eye without defense. Mark started. "I know I can't fix what I did. I just hope, someday, I can earn back a piece of your trust." Tyler nodded. "You can't change the past. But I can choose how much of it I let control my future." And that was the difference. He wasn't holding onto the silence anymore. After visiting his mother's grave, something shifted in Tyler. He didn't magically heal, and he didn't forgive us overnight, but he stopped pretending. He started telling the truth, even when it was uncomfortable. And we listened. Finally, really listened. One night, he sat down with me on the porch. "You know, I used to think strength was shutting everything out. Staying detached," he said. "Now I think it's the opposite. It's letting people in even when they've hurt you. Especially when they've hurt you." I nodded. "I wish I'd realized that sooner." He gave a small smile. "We all do." Tyler eventually moved out again, not to escape, but to start something new. He got a small apartment across town, picked up work with a nonprofit that focused on addiction recovery and family reunification. Said it made him feel like he was doing something that mattered. Mark and I went to therapy, together and separately. We unpacked more in those sessions than we had in our entire marriage. It wasn't easy, but it was real. One afternoon, as we left therapy, Mark said something that stuck with me. Sometimes doing the right thing in the moment turns out to be the wrong thing in the long run. That was his way of admitting he'd been wrong. And for him, that was big. As for me, I stopped trying to protect people from pain that belongs to them. I learned that silence isn't safety. It's just another kind of wound. We visited the cemetery once more, all three of us. Tyler brought flowers. Mark brought the photo album Tyler's mom had put together before she left, the one he'd kept but never shown. They flipped through it together, page by page, in quiet reflection. I just stood nearby, present but not interfering. That moment, 3 people standing in the middle of a story that should have torn them apart, felt like the real resolution. We weren't perfect. We never would be. But we were honest. And that counted for something. Sometimes the people we love most are the ones we fail the hardest. But that doesn't mean the story has to end in silence. Redemption doesn't come from erasing the past. It comes from facing it, together. Tyler forgave us in his own time. And maybe, just maybe, we learned how to be the kind of people worth forgiving. Did you enjoy the story? Let us know in the comments what part hit you the hardest. What kind of stories would you like to hear next? Real stories, emotional journeys, unexpected truths. We want to know what speaks to you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deeply human stories that stay with you. Thanks for watching.